Pretty much of a shock. It's official. Jack Clark is a New York Yankee. The Yankees called a news conference about 4:30 this afternoon, St. Louis time, to announce that Clark has signed a new 2-year contract with the Yankees, a contract that calls for less money than he was offered by the Cardinals. In response to that announcement, the Cardinals also called a news conference for that story. Let's go live now to Channel 5's Art Holliday at Busch Stadium. Art?
Well, Mike, as you mentioned, that's probably the most surprising bit of information to come from Dal Maxfield's comments, the fact that Clark's contract with the New York Yankees will actually pay him less than what the Cardinals contract would have paid him. If Clark had played 140 games with the Cardinals, he could have made $2.15 million. If he plays 145 games with the Yankees, the contract would pay him $2 million a year, $150,000 a year difference.
Cardinal fans are disappointed, but I don't really know what else we could have done. These numbers are correct. They're not made up. Our offer was, I think, a very substantial one, and one that we shouldn't be ashamed of, and our fans can't look at it and say, well, why didn't you offer at least as much as the Yankees did, or why couldn't you have done this or that? I think the numbers speak for themselves. Jack Clark.
Well, Clark said he wanted to be closer to the West Coast. He wanted better climate and a media center. Well, 1 out of 3 plus $2 million a year from the Yankees, and that's what it took to get Jack Clark to go to New York. We'll have more on the Jack Clark signing with the New York Yankees later on in sports. Reporting live from Busch Stadium, Art Holliday, Eyewitness Sports.
Okay, Art, thank you very much. So the Cardinals have a big void. We'll talk more about that and how they're going to fill it a little later on in the sports segment.
Could be the first of many surprises. Thank you, Mike.
Thanks, Mike.
Plus the standard award bonuses like MVP, All-Star game, things like that. If Jack would have preferred, we had a secondary offer on the table, which would have yielded him a 2-year guaranteed contract of $1,750,000 for each season, plus a $250,000 signing bonus and the standard award bonuses I mentioned before. We understand that the Yankee offer calls for a 2-year guaranteed contract with a base salary each season of $1.5 million and additional amounts of $100,000, which could have been earned at the 110, 20, 30, and 40 and 45 game levels. For his own reasons, Jack has decided to play in New York for less money than was offered him here to play in St. Louis.
Hard to believe. So Jack Clark is gone, and the search for a right-handed power hitter is now on. Reporting live from Busch Stadium, this is Greg Gazinski, Channel 2 Sports. Now back to you, Zip.
All right, Greg, we'll have much more on the Clark situation later on in sports.
Jack the Ripper would be leaving the confines of Busch Stadium. At a news conference a short time ago, Clark said he was not leaving because of the big bucks in the Big Apple.
We felt our situation should have been dealt with, and it wasn't. So I had, in the end, a better offer from St. Louis for more money. But actually, I came here more on a handshake deal because this is where my offer came from, and my word was good for that.
Jim Boland will have more on the Clark departure coming up in sports.
I guess you could call it a major shock. All along, we were led to believe that if Jack Clark was going to leave St. Louis, he was going to leave because he wanted to move closer to his California home. It had nothing to do with money. Well, I guess money didn't have anything to do with it because apparently the Cardinals offered more money than the Yankees, and Jack Clark is going to the New York Yankees. Let's go back now to Art Holliday live at Busch Stadium. Art, I guess that's the big mystery. Why the Yankees?
Well, until we hear from Jack Clark himself, we may not have that mystery solved. Dal Maxfield addressed that topic during his press conference, and he says he's really not sure how the Yankees came into the negotiations. After helping the Cardinals to World Series in '85 and '87, of course, Jack Clark is now a Yankee. The question is, how did the Cardinals survive life after Jack the Ripper? Dal Maxfield will have some tough decisions to make before the season starts.
I don't think we need to make some sort of move. We're going to look at the possibilities of the free agents out there. I say look at the possibilities, not necessarily react or act upon that, but as far as going out and making the trades, we've talked about that already. That's not the easiest thing in the world to do, to go out and replace a Jack Clark immediately.
And of course, as all our viewers know, baseball is a year-round topic in St. Louis. On the Hot Stove League this winter, the #1 topic will be how do the Cardinals replace the offensive void at first base because of Jack Clark leaving St. Louis to go to the New York Yankees. Reporting live from Busch Stadium, Art Holliday, Channel 5 Eyewitness Sports.
Art, let me ask you before you go, Was Maxfield shocked? Was he shocked that Clark ended up in New York?
Well, I think he kind of had an inkling that the negotiations had broke down a little bit.
You know, the only home run threat, and it's going to make the 1988 season a little tough. I'm kind of surprised that Jack Clark went to New York. I didn't think that would happen, but by the same token, Jack's got to look out for himself, and I've enjoyed having him on my ball for the last 3 years, and I wish him nothing but the best.
And Herzog told me the Cards do have some people that will get a shot at first base, including Jim Lindemann and Mike Laga. And as Jack Buck mentioned to us on our 5 p.m. sports, Gary Gaetti of the Twins is a home run hitting free agent who has played first base in the past. Maybe the Redbirds will now go to the free agent market themselves. Blues are in the Motor City tonight.
Other player on the Cardinals that can scare a pitcher like Jack Clark can. So what will the Cardinals do to replace him? Well, barring a trade or the signing of a free agent, it looks like the first base job would be first offered to second-year player Jim Lindemann. Lindy only hit 8 homers and 28 RBIs last year, but he was injured much of the year. They could platoon Lindemann with Mike Laga, who hit .304 with 29 homers and 91 RBIs at Louisville last year. But the question mark for Laga has always been, can he do it in the big leagues? And the door could also be open for Cardinal retread David Green, who has some pop at his bat. Obviously, it's a lot of wishful thinking that these guys can put up Jack Clark kind of number.